Good morning, everyone. So today's learning objective is about understanding data stream management system. Okay. Today's learning objective is to understand about the architecture of data stream mining, that is data stream mining system, DSMS, that is database data stream management or mining system, that is DSMS. So today we're going to learn about this DSMS and the issues in the data stream query processing. Okay. Whenever I'm saying the data stream as a word, always you remember that a data stream means it is a continuous stream of information getting generated. Okay, and in case of big data analytics, this continuous stream of generation is the information, such kind of information that is generated with rapidly, with a very high speed, and it's a huge volume of information. So huge volume and huge volume and huge velocity is the characteristic here, and the data is getting generated so fast that we cannot store the data in the memory or hard disk. There is no time to store the data and then do the analysis on that. The data is getting generated and is getting lost, and a new data is getting generated. So if we do not do any processing on the data item immediately when it is getting generated, or we don't store it, then it is getting lost. Okay, so we have to identify a scenario like a sensor generating the sensoring information or the data on various parameters every milliseconds, and a huge information, and such millions of sensors are there, and it's a huge information, and that information is getting generated every milliseconds or every second in a huge amount. And if we don't do anything about it, then that information is getting lost, and we either we have to process it immediately or we have to store it in the secondary storage device. But it is not feasible to store such a huge information because because it is a huge information, and your RDBMS is not supposed to store the infinite data and continuous generated data. So it is not feasible to store the entire stream of information. So what we do, like, we have to try multiple techniques. Like, such a huge amount of data is getting generated, what we can do is that immediate look at the data item and do the processing immediately and update some statistics about it. So create the summary about the data, and the data is lost. Or you can create a sample, you can get a sample. Always whenever the data is getting generated, keep on generating the sample and do the analytics on the sample, maybe immediately or maybe after some time. Okay. Or what we can do is that we can filter the data. Whenever the data is getting generated, before entering the data into the system, only you filter the data and discard the data which is not required to you, so the size of the data is limited in that case. Okay, so depending on your application, you will have to decide about the technique to do the analytics on such kind of huge amount of data. Okay, so yesterday we have seen about many applications, each and every field, wherever the huge amount of data is getting generated, such data stream mining techniques are used, where we don't do the mining as per the traditional way, where we assume that the entire data set is available in the table. Whenever we start doing the analysis, we assume that the entire data set is pre-processed and it is available to you. That is not a case over here. The data is continuously generated and it is continuously changing in nature, and it may even change its format, and it's getting generated continuously. So you will have to continuously go on generating the output for the data, or you may have to generate the output as and when required, such as creating the alert or alarms by predicting some disaster or some failure. So predict it in advance and then create the alarm or alert. Okay, such kind of techniques are to be used. Okay, so today's learning objective is about understanding the architecture of data stream management system, that is DSMS architecture, which is a very important concept. Because in order to understand the working of this data stream mining, you need to know this particular diagram in your mind, and then only you can visualize what is happening. Okay, and after that we will see what are the issues in the data stream mining query processing. When we fire the query, what are the problems that we are going to face? Okay, like how challenging it is to execute such queries on such a huge amount of data. Okay, so let's say here that as per the yesterday's lecture, these are the topics which are there in the top in your chapter about understanding what is exactly meant by data stream. As I told you, it is a continuous stream of information, huge information generated with high velocity. What are the different applications? What is the DSMS model? What are the issues and challenges? So we're going to learn about these two topics today. And then there are multiple sampling techniques to create the like one of the technique to do such mining is to create a good sample and work on the sample, or you filter the data in the beginning only, and that is a filtering operation. So Bloom's filter is in your syllabus. And then there are two algorithms for study to just get an idea about such kind of algorithms. Okay, there may be many algorithms available, but in the beginning, as a first step to understand about this data mining streams, we are as per the syllabus we are learning only two algorithms, that is FM algorithm and DGIM algorithm. Where FM algorithm says that we have to count the distinct elements in a stream. What are the unique elements which are there in the stream, and counting the number of ones in a window. Like if it is a window, then inside the window in the buffer, how many number of ones are there? If there is a stream of zeros and ones, and that algorithm is called as a DGIM algorithm. Okay, so we are going to concentrate on these two topics today: data stream management system architecture and issues and challenges. Okay, so as I told you, it is a we don't know the entire data set in advance. It is a real-time data, and it is a transient data stream. Data stream is not supposed to be stored permanently in the database. And data is non-stationary, it is infinite data. For example, Google queries are continuously getting generated, and Google may be storing every element as a tuple, every element of the query as a tuple, like the user ID who has fired the query, or maybe the machine, or from where it has, or the IP address from where the query is generated, and then the query, exact query, the time of the query, and some other related association parameters like location from where the query is fired, like from the country India the query got fired. Like this, they may create an element for a particular query, and the element for the data stream is the tuple. Okay, and it is not in their hand, it is external. Your data generation is controlled by some external entity. Okay, so like this here I told you that yeah, it may be like for Google, it may store the user use information about the user, then the exact query and the time of the query, location from where the query got fired, and such kind of elements are getting generated at a rapid rate. Okay. Then we have seen about these applications last time, about the Google wants to know which are the frequent queries, or Yahoo wants to know who are the pages which are getting unusual hits, and Twitter, Facebook, they want to know what are the trending topics. Satellite image generated data is getting generated. Telephone call records, they are recorded, and it is available in the form of audio, video. Then financial applications, network, sensor networks, financial applications, telecommunication departments, web applications, then email. All such things are getting generating huge data. And here the sensors like IoT devices, and you may have multiple streams getting generated. So like the stream of information about the temperature sensing, and the stream of information about the ocean current stream. And by you may have to combine two or three streams together. If there are multiple streams entering into your system, then you may have to perform aggregation or join operation on such kind of query streams. Or the power station, or electricity departments, or the companies, they want to monitor the recent power usage, and if sudden increase in a certain area about the power usage, then they may have to look into it, like what is the problem in that area. or such network analysis people, they want to identify or predict the denial of service attack in the advance. They want to decide about the optimal route by predicting the congestion in a particular area, or they want to detect the fraudulent activity. Or financial applications, they may want to get about information about the stock with certain condition, with some particular price, depending on some particular industry with particular news. Such kind of complex queries people want to fire. And the data is used, it is continuously generated, it is continuously changing data. Or for the web applications, we want to examine the current buying pattern of the user, to recommend the user, or to understand about the habits of the user. And or credit card companies want to identify the frauds in advance. Okay, so this I told you yesterday about the multiple applications. And so we are assuming that here these are the elements in the data stream management system, DSMS. Okay, so it is the short form is DSMS, data stream management system. And these two things are very important. What is the limitation, or what is the problem, is that the rate of arrival of the data stream is not under the control of the system. And this, our system doesn't have the control about the data getting generated. Data is generated by some external entity, and it may be in the form of burst in a particular peak hour, or it may be very less data at some particular time of the day. Or the data is continuously generated, like sensor, it is working day and night 24 hours, so data is continuously generated, and it is very at a high speed. So it is not in our hands. Even the data can be of any type, like it can be a decimal information or characters, or it can be a binary string. And we may convert any event into a binary format. Like if the event is present, then it is 1, and if the event is not there, then it may be a 0. So like this. And there are multiple streams, so multiple data types, multiple streams entering into your system. And also we need to remember is that the emerging applications required support for the online analysis of rapidly arriving and changing data streams. Okay, so the applications require the support for doing online analysis for such a rapid data and the changing data. Okay, so the components of the system is the input stream, and we may have, depending on the application, we may have the corresponding output stream. So for every instant when the data is generated, the corresponding output is generated, which may be stored, or which may be observed, or which may invoke certain device to create an alarm, like this. Or it may be a output which is generated after some time, and not continuous output. Or it can be some insight stored into onto the device, which is not continuously generated, it is generated after certain uh, time. Okay, so it depends on the application. So what are the components? Input stream of data, output getting generated, and then we have the query processor. Query processor is like your RDBMS system. And there are two types of memory storages. Like it can be a archival storage, or it can be a limited working storage. So limited working storage can be your memory or hard disk attached to the system, where the analysis is going to happen. And archival storage may be a storage which is a cheap storage, such as a backup tape, or it can be a hard disk nowadays. Okay, because the prices of the storage devices is lower compared to the previous days, we can afford to have a hard disk to store the archival data. Otherwise, initial days people used to have the input tape, like tape magnetic tape kind of devices to archive any information. So why this archival storage is to be used? Because if we want to store this input data in the form of a data set, or then it can be archived into the archival storage in rare cases, which can be used in future. But we know that, we assume that here the data in the archival is not easily accessed, so we cannot fire the query directly onto the data which is there in the archival storage. Okay, so remember the fact that archival is used in the rare case where there is no option, you have to archive the input data getting generated then you can use archival storage. Or if you want to store the output data, then you can use the archival storage. But archival storage is supposed to be very slow, and accessing the data from the archival storage is going to take a long amount of time. So it is, we are not going to fire the queries or analysis queries directly on the data which is there in the archival storage. Okay, it is just stored for future purpose. If we can, if we need something, then we can retrieve the data from the archive, but data retrieval is going to take a huge amount of time. So it is not supposed to fire the query directly into the data which is in the archival storage. Okay, so remember this thing about the archival. Now the limited working storage can be your RAM or the hard disk which is attached to the system, which may be a faster in storage device. But what is stored into this data is that the standing queries. The standing queries are resides into the storage, working storage, such as it can be a memory of the server, or it can be the hard disk. And what is stored into this limited storage is summary of this information. Okay, so summary of this input stream, like the stream is, suppose we are not storing the stream, then the stream is getting generated and it is getting lost, and a new element is going to arrive into the system. So element is arriving into the system, and it is going to vanish, and the new element is going to arrive. Okay, so and then the old element is going to vanish. So the standing queries are looking into this data or the stream continuously. So they are called as long running queries or continuous queries or persistent queries. Persistence means they are permanently residing here in the system, and they are continuously looking at the stream. So they are continuously in execution. It is not like the query is fired and it is over. The queries are continuously getting fired, and they are permanently residing into the memory. So they are persistent kind of memories. And such queries, what they do about this data is that they observe the data item and they just update the statistics. Like suppose you want to find out, like this is a stream of temperature generation, like temperature readings by a sensor. So multiple temperature readings are there for a day. Now the standing query has to find out at the end of the day what is the average temperature of the day. Then what they do is that they may create some summary information. So only they are not going to store each and every variable. Okay, one way to do the average is that store all the elements, like 24 hours ka jo data hai, store, get all the values of temperatures, and then you know how many elements are there, and then you calculate the average. But this is going to take a lot of time, and you need to store the entire data set to find out the average. Instead of that, the average can be found out in such a way that when the first element is arrived, the standing query is going to create the summary information about it. It is going to say that n is equal to 1. There are only one element, and the reading is 0. Or reading is, suppose this is the temperature, then reading is 3. Then when the next element is going to come, then it will say that n is equal to 2, and the sum is now 9 plus 3. So that is equal to 12. When the next element is going to come, then it will say that now the total number of elements are 3, and the total sum is equal to 9, 3 and 0. Okay. So people have observed that if we have the summary information such as number of elements n, sum of all the elements, and even the sum of square of elements, like 3 square plus 9 square plus 0 square. If such kind of summary information is stored, or the metadata about the data is stored, in future by using only these variables, we can find out the answer for the query. Okay, the final answer for the query. Okay, or at any particular time. So what is meant by this summary information is that, like, instead of storing this thousands of elements of the stream, we are storing only three variables. Variable n, that is total number of elements, sum of all the elements, sum square of the elements. And this is just an example that I'm telling you. But depending on your application, you may have some summary information that is generated by the standing query, and that is stored into the limited storage, working storage. Okay, so we store the summary or metadata of the actual input stream into the limited working storage, and it is residing here. So what is meant by what you have to remember about this working limited storage component is that it is a memory of your device or the hard disk of the device, which is a little faster storage device, faster access device. The standing queries are residing into this memory, or the summary information about your input data stream, or the metadata information about the input data stream is stored into the limited working storage. Okay, and archival storage is supposed to archive the stream, input stream or output stream for the future reference, but retrieval of data is going to take a huge amount of time. So we cannot fire the queries directly onto the data which is there in the archive. Okay, so this is the difference between these two storage devices. And query processor will create or provide the environment to execute the standing query. Then there is a query repository, and we may have two types of queries like ad hoc queries and standing queries, or they can be one-time query also. So standing queries are continuously executing and looking at the data, but ad hoc queries are fired as and when required by the analyst. So whenever we need, then we just submit the query and it is executed by utilizing the summary information, metadata information, or by considering some partial data of the data set. So ad hoc queries are the queries which are fired by the analyst on ad hoc basis, and not on the permanent basis as and when it is required. Or they can be a one-time query which is not fired onto the data set again and again. It is just one-time firing of the query, and then you are sitting quiet for a long amount of time. So it can be a one-time query also. So these are the from one perspective. These are the two categories of queries: standing query and ad hoc queries. Okay, we'll see other perspectives also. So the queries are getting fired on the onto the data set, and always remember the data set is the input data stream, which is a real-time data, continuous generation of the bits, and it's an ordered sequence of items and with timestamp. So every element has a corresponding timestamp associated with it. Okay. So now, what are the strategies that we can use on this particular analysis? Is that we can have the buffer or temporary storage here. Okay, in the query processor, in the memory, and in the buffer you keep some data, like if it is not a very big data, then you may store the data for the particular week. The current week data is inside the buffer, or the 24 hours data is there inside the buffer. Okay, or depending on the size of the memory, suppose it can store only the 1000 elements, then the current 1000 elements are there inside the buffer. Okay, so what we can categorize this input stream is that the current data is there in the memory, which is the current 10,000 elements. And then here this side we say that the data is getting vanished. So that is the past data, that is the previous data, past data, and the new data items which will arrive is the future data. So we say that there can be a past data or the current data or the future data, and as the future element is getting generated, if we are storing only 1000 elements in the current buffer, and that buffer is called as a sliding window. So if we say that the new element is arriving into the sliding window, then the previous element or the past element is getting discarded. Okay, and it is not we cannot refer that element again in future. Okay, unless it is archived. But in most of the cases we don't need the archival. Okay, because there is no point in storing a huge amount of data. So we say that it is a past data, and once the past data has gone, there's no way to access the data. Okay, so one way to do the analysis is that to have a sliding window and have the current data of suppose 10,000 elements, or the current week data, or the current month data, or the 24 hours data, depending on the importance of the query that you have to fire. Like most of the time now for data stream mining, people want to fire the queries such as what are the unique number of users in the past week who has logged into my site. So then it is a week data, current week data. Okay, or we can adjust something and we can store only the 10,000 elements or 1,000 elements in the buffer, and we keep the summary about the unique data, and then that can be referred. Okay, so any such technique can be used. So one of the ways that you can have a window here, and we are not we want to get the exact answer. Okay, we want to get an exact answer. So to get an exact answer, we look into the window and the exact answer for the query is fired. Okay, but sometimes it is not possible to get the exact answer. Even if it is an approximate answer, the analyst is happy. Okay, so if we are okay with the approximate answer, then what we can do is that for this particular data set as it is getting generated, create the sample, create and have the sample with you always. Okay, even the sample will will be modified depending on the generation of the data. Sample is also getting will get modified. So you don't work into the entire data set, because here we cannot lose the past data. Okay, suppose our query is that I want to find out who are the new users in my website in the last month. So in that case, I'm only interested in the data stream generated in the week of time. So my time limit or my sliding window time is 1 week of time, 7 days of data. So then I'm not interested in the previous old, what has happened in the previous year or previous weeks or previous months. I'm not interested in that. So even if that data is lost, I don't bother, because I just want to concentrate on the recent past history, which is the previous week. So if I'm interested in only in the previous week of history, then I can use a such kind of sliding window kind of concept. But suppose I have a particular query where if I just concentrate only on the recent data, my answer is going to be wrong. I need to consider the overall data, the nature of the overall data. So past data is also important for the query. So in that case, but it is not possible to store the past data also. Data is very high. Data is infinite. So even if you have the high storage device, it will also, the nature will also become infinite. You will require the infinite amount of memory, and we cannot store all this data. So, and our query also needs to have the overview about the previous data. So in that case, getting exact answer is not possible. So if we are not getting any exact answer, then we are happy with getting the approximate answer. So in that case, we can consider the sample. But the sampling technique should be used is a proper technique, so that it is a good sample. If your sample is wrong, then your answer is wrong. So we need to understand about multiple sampling techniques, and you get a sample of the overall data, and the current query is getting fired on the current sample, and sample is also getting modified as and when the new data is arrived. Sample is also getting modified, and at a time when the query is fired, it can be a ad hoc query or standing query. The query is referring the current sample, whatever is there in the sample. So here also we may consider a buffer like a window, and in that window the sample data is residing. But the sample contains the old data, which is the year back data or month back data, some samples from that, current samples. So like this, the sample is used, and sampling is there, and the query or the algorithm is working on the sample, and it gives you the approximate answer. Okay, so here even we don't get very good results like 80%, 70%, 90% kind of answers. Even if we get the answer which is greater than 50% of accuracy, that is also fine for the analyst, because he just want to get an overview, or he just want to understand about something. And even if it is the greater than 50% accuracy answer, the analyst is happy. So such kind of algorithms are also allowed, because your data is the approximate data. Okay, so one way is about if whenever you want the exact answer, you have a sliding window with the current data inside the sliding window, and as and when the data is arrived, immediately take the action and get the answer. And if you are happy with the approximate answer and you want to consider the overall data, all previous data is also important for the answer, then we can have a sample and work on the sample. Or sometimes the queries are such a queries that we even if many items are getting generated, we are not interested in all the items. Most of the items are garbage, and we actual data on which we want to do the analysis is a very small amount of data compared to the data getting generated from the device. So in that case, you just apply a filter here in the beginning in the query processor. So the data will go through the filter, and the filter will filter the data. It will discard the items which are not required in here in the place only, and only the valuable data will enter into the system, which we can store onto the hard disk, or we can archive it and we can get the results out of that data. Okay, so then the actual data set ka size will be limited. So we limit the size of the input data by filtering uh, the garbage or not needed information. Okay, and we can go on changing the filter depending on the queries. Okay, so I think you have got an overview now that for doing the analysis, we can have a sliding window, or we can have a buffer where the uh, we can have a buffer where the sample is stored, or we can have a filter to filter the data and get only the and uh, convert this big data into small data, and then do the analysis on that. Okay, so so what are the issues in this case? Like, what are the issues for firing such queries or such kind of analysis? What is to be um, uh, what are the issues we need to remember? Okay, but whenever in the exam this particular question is asked, you need to write down some points about this architecture. Okay, so let us see some of the points which you have to write in the exam when you write the answer for the question. Okay, I have taught you now the architecture, but in the exam, from exam point of view, what to write in the form of a text to answer this question is see some of the points that you need to remember with respect to the diagram and components. You can remember this, that the stream processor, a query processor, is actually the data management system. Okay, our data management system, it is similar to the RDBMS system, or similar to data management system. Then here for the stream, you remember there are many streams which are entering into the system. It is not like only one stream is entering into the system. Every stream has its own schedule. It may arrive as per its own schedule of the generation of the data. The data rate at which it is generated may be different. Then the data types may be different in every stream, or it can be anything. And the time between two elements, the time gap between two elements is also not predictable. It can be sometimes a huge amount of time, or it can be very fast data getting generated. And it is not possible to control the order in which the data items are getting inside the system. So it is not in our hand, and we cannot store it. Is a huge data, we cannot store it into the secondary storage device, or we cannot keep entire data into the memory. That is for sure. That's why it is called as a stream mining. Okay, so about the stream, you remember it has its own schedule, data type. Elements of data types can be anything. It can be a tuple, like we have the class in the object oriented program which has multiple variables. Like every element may be a tuple, like user ID, location, time, the query that it is going to fire. So one element may contain multiple properties along with the element, and we cannot control the order of the data items, and we cannot store this. You remember about the stream. Then for archive storage, as I told you, a stream may be archived, input or output stream may be archived, but we assume that it is not possible to answer the query directly from the archival storage, and extracting the data from archival is a time consuming process. Then about the limited working storage, remember the Windows queries like standing queries or summary about the input stream, or the part of the stream, means like a window buffer in the form of a buffer, can be stored into the limited working storage. And standing queries, you utilize this data, summary data, metadata, or the buffer data to answer the query. Then your standing queries are stored, they are permanently executing. There are long running queries, continuous queries, or persistent queries, and they incrementally return new results for new data. Like for when they are fired, like we can decide the time of firing the standing query. Like every 1 hour, the standing query is like 1 hour may be a big time, but after every 10 minutes, the standing query is getting fired because by that 10 minutes you keep the data in the buffer. So every 10 minutes the data is getting generated. And then so it is going to incrementally return new results for new data. For the current data, it will produce the output. Then for the new data, again it will produce a new output. Like this, it is going to keep producing the output for new data continuously. Okay, and these are the 14 points that you will have to remember. That here now these are the points which are useful for us to understand about the issues and challenges. Okay, that which is the next topic of this particular chapter. So here, what are the points? So we are just analyzing this particular architecture. Okay, so here this data model and query processor, they must follow the order based and time based operations. Okay, so the data model is to be designed in such a way that it should follow the time based. On the basis of time, it has to be on the toes, and with respect to the time, it has to perform the operation. And it is order based, like first what is to be done, second, third. So data model and query processor must allow both order based and time based operations. Okay. For example, queries over 10 minutes moving window, like 10 minutes का time दिया है, and then standing query will create the output after every 10 minutes, and we assume that the output is smaller than the input, and then we can store the output, or we can attach the output to some device to generate the alarm. Okay, or to display the readings about something. Okay, so queries are over the 10 minutes of moving window, is a time based operation, or the queries of the form which are most frequently occurring data before a particular event. Okay, so what is meant by that? Like suppose you know that if it is a credit card fraud, then for the previous fraud you have the pattern of the data with respect to that particular user. So we know that a fraud for a fraudulent activity, these are the events which are normally occurring before the failure happens or before the fraud is going to happen. So the system standing queries are continuously looking at the data, and they can predict about they can identify this behavior, and they can provide an alert that maybe this particular thing is suspicious, and some event or failure event or some fraud may happen because of this such kind of data getting generated. Okay, so the standing queries, they observe the data and they understand the nature of the data, and they can predict that such nature results into some fraudulent activity, or it may be a positive activity also. So they can predict something and they can give that information to the analyst. Like it can be a information about the stock, and the query can predict that it is going to give you the benefit if you perform such kind of operation. So it can be for some good event, or it can be for some alert kind of event. Okay, to stop from the disaster. Or if it is a temperature reading, then the queries are continuously looking at this data items of the temperature readings, and they can predict about some disaster like tsunami, uh, or uh, or any earthquake, like this. Okay, so they can save from you from any disaster. This is about the second, that this is about the first point, that data model and query processor must allow order based and time based operations, and these are the examples. Then the like here you can combine 1 2 or 3 4 5 as a with one particular point. So here the third and fourth point says that it is not possible to store the complete stream, which indicates that we will not be able to get the exact answer. So only approximate summary structures can be used for getting the answers, and we may not get the we queries file the queries over the summaries, and it may not result the exact answer. So as we cannot store the entire data set, we will not be able to get the exact answer. We may get the approximate results. Okay. So this is the third and fourth point. Now, fifth and sixth point says that something called as a block operator. Block operator. Like whenever we are firing the query plans must not use any operator that require the entire input before any results are to be produced. Okay, whenever we fire the query, there are multiple operators like calculating the maximum element out of all the elements or average. So for such kind of calculations, sometimes if we are using the traditional techniques, then we need the entire data set in advance. So such query operator will block the from giving the answer unless it sees the entire output. Okay. In RDBMS kind of analysis, we use the block operators. And the block operator is an operator which will not provide the output unless it sees the entire output, entire input data set. Okay, so such operators will block the query processor indefinitely. It will make this query processor in the infinite loop. It will turn this query processor into infinite loop because it is not able to see the entire data. So you have to identify such block operators, and we should not use any block operator when we write the query. Okay, so have you understood this? I'll just repeat it in simple sentence. Sometimes whenever we are firing the query, we use the block operator. Block operators in the query. Block operators are the operators which does not give you the output unless it sees the entire input. And if we by mistake if we use such block operator in the standing query or ad hoc query, that will turn your query processor into an infinite loop. So that is not allowed. So that's why you should not use for the any block operator such as average or sum or some calculation on the data set which requires to see the entire input. Okay, so that is about fifth and sixth point, that we should not use block operators, blocking query operator which requires to see the entire input before giving an output. Okay, so because they will convert your processor into an infinite loop and your system will hang. So that is not allowed. Plus, any query that require backtracking over the data stream is infeasible. Like suppose there is any query where you will have to do the backtracking and go to the you start doing something and it is a recursion process and you are going to visit the previous past data. Then such kind of backtracking over the data stream is not possible because your past data is not available. So you have to avoid that. Then, due to the storage and performance constraints of the data stream, such kind of recursion and backtracking is not possible, and we have to use algorithms which are doing the operation in only one pass. They're going, every data item is going to be going through this system only once and only for short duration of time. So any online stream algorithm is restricted to make only one pass over the data. Okay, so 7, 8, and 9 points they are talking about the past data. That past data is not possible to access. So don't use backtracking or recursion kind of algorithms in your queries. And use algorithms which uses only one pass algorithms, and and backtracking is not possible. So the past data, once it is lost, it is not, no way it is available. Okay, this is about 7, 8, and 9 points. 10th point says that application should monitor the streams in real time. So real time, they continuously monitoring the real data and they must react quickly to the unusual data values. So if any unusual fraudulent activity is seen, like data intrusion system, so they have to react quickly to such kind of operations. So that's why the long running or standing queries are there which are observing these queries. Okay, ad hoc queries are not in the memory, like you will have to load the query and then execute the query, but standing queries are residing into the memory and they are permanently resident programs or permanently resident memories continuously observing the other processes of your system. Okay, so you can visualize it as as a process, and that process is monitoring over the other process. Okay, so it should react quickly in real time whenever any unusual data value is seen, and they should create an alert or alarm to the system, to the administrator. And so that is the job of the long running or standing query. Okay, then 11th point says that for changes in the system conditions anytime during the execution lifetime, they may encounter variable stream rates. Okay, system should be ready for any changes in the system conditions. If suddenly the system changes and suppose something is changing in the input data stream, and the rate at which the stream is getting generated, or the data type of the stream is getting changed, so it is also, the stream may can also have a changing nature, and the system should adapt itself to such a changing conditions of the input. Okay, then the scalability requirements dictate that the parallel and shared execution of many continuous queries must be possible. Okay, so the this says that the scalability requirements says that parallel and shared execution of many continuous queries should be possible. Like, um, we may have multiple standing queries, so that must be possible with the scalability required, and the scalability is also needed in that case. Okay, today we are having only 4 5 queries, and then tomorrow we may go on increasing some of the queries, and then the with the scalability kind of architecture, it should be possible to execute multiple standing queries in parallel. Then the query processor communicates with the input monitor, and it may re-optimize the query plans in response to the changing input rate. Okay, so like here we can have the input monitor, where we can attach a filter like a Bloom's filter, and this input monitor is going to monitor the input. It may put it into the buffer or something like that. So your system or query processor can communicate, should be able to communicate with the input monitor, and depending on the changes in the input rate of data generation, it can optimize its plan. Okay, so suppose at night if the data generation is at very low speed, then instead of firing the query for like generation of the 10,000 elements to be kept into the buffer will take long time, and then the query firing time will be increased. Okay, unless all the 10,000 elements are filled, the query is not getting, it will not be fired. Okay, like this some optimization uh, about the execution of the query should be done by the system. So system should be flexible in such a way that if there are any changes in the data input rate, it should adjust accordingly. So query processor should communicate with the input monitor, and as per the information about the given by the input monitor, it should be able to adapt itself for the changes. Okay, or if the data is getting generated with the suddenly the increase in the generation of the data rate, then maybe the firing query can standing query should be fired as soon as the data is filled inside the buffer. Okay, so so depending on the change in the input, system should adapt itself for the changes. And then the last point is that results are streamed to the users in the form of output stream. They will be available to the user in the form of output stream. But see, the difference between input stream and output stream is that input stream is a huge amount of big data, and the output stream will be a small data, because it's giving you only the insights. So the results are always, compared to the input data, results are small. They can be streamed to the user as output stream, and user can see them, or they can be connected to the direct hardware device, where the device is going to perform some operation depending on the result, or they will be temporarily buffered into the system, or you can store some of the information about the results into the secondary storage device. Okay, so these are the 14 points, and if we see that if we combine them together, overall 7 to 8 points are there which you will have to write into the exam. when you are writing this question. So such kind of question is there in the exam for 10 marks. Explain the DSMS architecture for data stream mining is the question. Okay. So now let's see what are the types of queries. The standing queries are the continuous queries. They are stored. They are permanently executing. They produce this output at appropriate times, reflecting to the data stream seen so far. Till now, what is the data item which is seen? Depending on that, they they give you the answer, and the query answers may be stored or updated as the new data arrives. Uh, for example, finding maximum or average or count the total number of elements. Or the examples of standing queries are alert whenever a new temperature is seen, new maximum temperature is seen. So it is going to keep always the maximum temperature seen so far. And whenever a new maximum temperature is seen, it will give you the alert. Or whenever the reading is greater than 25, it will keep on giving you the output. Or whenever the new reading produces the average of 24 most recent readings. So after every 24 readings, recent readings, the reading is going, you will keep on getting the average, or you continuously keep on getting average for 24 most recent readings, or maximum price of a particular stock every hour, or you can fire the queries such as average price stock all over the time. So you just have to hold two values: total number of prices uh, okay, like the number of readings ever sent in the string and sum of the strings. So as I told you, like this analyst have observed that for if it is a series of elements, then if you store n, sum of n, and sum square of every element, sum of square of every element, and then we can retrieve any kind of information which is required on that data stream for doing the analysis. Okay, so such a summary can be stored. So this is about standing queries. Then one-time queries are the queries which are fired once. For example, stock price checker may alert the user when the stock price crosses a particular price point. Okay. So queries are evaluated once over a point in a time snapshot of the data set with the answer returned to the user. It is fired, it is selected by the analyst, and it is submitted to execute it only once. Okay, but it is not residing into the memory continuously, and it is not getting continuously fired. Join queries, the queries can also be joined with each other. Mm, okay, so it may provide the unbounded answers. Then from other perspective, there can be two different types of queries, like predefined queries and ad hoc queries. Predefined queries are known in advance to the analyst, and they are similar to the continuous queries, or predefined queries are continuous queries or standing queries. But they are predefined. User knows what kind of queries are to be fired. But ad hoc queries are issued online after the data stream have already begun. So they can be one time or continuous also, but they can work on the summary, or for ad hoc queries we can use the style such as sliding window. Sliding window is similar to the relation of the database, and every element in the sliding window is a tuple, and the SQL query is similar to the ad hoc query. But they complicate the design of the data stream management system, because window contain only n elements of last t time units, and it should be refreshed whenever the new data is arrived. And these kind of queries are not known in advance, uh, because there is a need, then they have decided, and we have to fire the query on the existing data set, current data set. So correct answers may require referencing the data elements which is the past data which is already discarded, and query optimization and identification of common sub expressions across the queries. Because of this, they make the design of DSMS a complicated design. Okay, so I think now the mm, time is over. Uh, so we'll stop here. So today I have taught you about the architecture of DSMS, and now in the next lecture we'll see about the issues and challenges and sampling methods. Okay. I just want to tell you that you have to start working and you have to give me the suitable time. Otherwise, I will allocate the time for your batches. Okay. I know that you are busy in your placements and you are doing some activities, preparing like GRE and all. So you in the team of mini project, you will have to give me a time slot of around 15 minutes or 30 minutes of time, so that I will interact with you and you will have to do the work that is assigned to you during that time unit. Okay. So from next week onwards, I'm going to interact with the students every for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and we will have some discussions about the topics of data mining and your mini projects. Okay. So you give me the time, otherwise I will allocate the time as per my convenience. Okay. So please convey this information to all the others who are not listening or who are not online today. So let's stop for today. So have a nice day.